As I dump them out, should be roughly 1,000 in here. There they go. They're gonna bury themselves pretty quickly to get away from the light, get in a shape where they should be able to access the sides of the apple to really get in there and have some moisture. Stick that way down, it'll last a little bit longer. If I stick it face down, that moisture will get sucked out by the oats. And hello YouTube gardeners, coming to you from my greenhouse today. It's nice and sunny and warm in here. Got down to 17 degrees at our house last night, November 26th, and it stayed nice and toasty. I believe my greenhouse never got below 50 degrees. And today I'm going to shoot a video and kind of show you guys how I start a mealworm farm. Mealworms can be used for feeding chickens or feeding wild birds, or just kind of fun to have. You can just do one for a hobby. There's more than one way to do it, but I'm going to show you the way that I like. And as you can see, I have some oats here and I have some other supplies I'll go over as I build the farm and show you what I like to do. All right, I wanted to give you a view of the supplies I'm going to be using for this mealworm farm. Of course, I've got mealworms, about 1,000 of them. You can see some of their old casings or exoskeletons that they've shed off. But they're in there. We got some mealworms. They don't like light, so they're trying to burrow down in there. I'm not sure what substrate this is. Might be wheat bran. They like wheat bran and oats. As you can see, I'm choosing to use oats because that's something I had on hand. I don't usually have wheat bran. I'm going to cut out a chunk of this sad apple, put that in there. They like it for moisture, but you gotta be real careful. You gotta make sure that you don't let it get moldy. As soon as it gets moldy, then it can cause problems. It can cause mold in the rest of the bin, and it's apparently deadly for the mealworms. So I'd advise checking it daily, and you can use potatoes or carrots, kind of little chunks of it, and they'll find their way to it and get some moisture. I have old-fashioned oats here and quick 1-minute oats. The difference really between the two types of oats is how small they've been milled to. The quick instant oats are smaller and finer and can be cooked faster than the old-fashioned oats, which are a little bit hardier and thicker. So I like to use a mixture of both of them. So you want to have about, I'd say, minimum of 2 inches in the bin. This is considered their bedding and their food. They do both bedding in it, or they bed down in it and they eat it. You can see the finer 1-minute oats there, quick oats. I'm going to give it a little mix. So the reason you want 2 to 3 inches in there, a minimum of 2 inches is what I would say, is because they need to be able to find somewhere to burrow. And their life cycle starts out as eggs. Then when they hatch from the eggs, they are this, what we call mealworm. And then after that, they go through a phase of metamorphosis where they're going to become a pupa. And then after they become a pupa, they'll become a darkling beetle. And you can check that out. I'll see if I can find some good pictures of a darkling beetle and show you guys. And you can have all of them in the same bin, like I plan on doing with this one. Or sometimes you can get the little plastic drawer bins. They're about this size as well. And you can separate them. That takes some time to separate them between the mealworms, the pupa, which don't move around, and then the darkling beetles. And anyway, my plans with this is to feed some of these to my friends, chickens, who gives me eggs all the time and gives me other stuff. He gives me some rabbit manure, chicken manure, stuff for my garden. So I think it would be fun to repay him. And I really like birds. I like watching birds in my yard, so I want to have some live mealworms to see if I can attract some jays a little bit more. And anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of fun to just have the farm. Don't need to have it grow too big, but they will reproduce. All right, now that we've got the bedding in there, I think I want to add a little bit more. Actually, I think I'm more close to about 1 inch in depth. I want to get it closer to 2 inches. Give it a little mix. All right, now for the mealworms. I'm going to go ahead and dump those in. You'll see those as I dump them out. Should be roughly 1,000 in here. There they go. They're going to bury themselves pretty quickly to get away from the light, as I mentioned before. It's kind of fun to see. Give you a minute there to see those as they bury themselves. At this point, I'm not going to mix in the wheat bran at all. I'm just going to leave it like that. I don't want to disturb them any more than they've already been disturbed. It's time to cut the apple. I'm going to just cut a chunk of this apple, stick it in there. And I'm going to make it in a shape where they should be able to access the sides of the apple to really get in there and have some moisture. Stick that way down. It'll last a little bit longer. If I stick it face down, that moisture will get sucked out by the oats and could potentially start to mold a little bit faster and not benefit the mealworms as much. Sorry about the airplane that's flying over right now. You can hear it in the background, I bet. Anyway, that's it. It's super simple. We'll check back on this as I start to find some pupa, and if I start to find, there might be a pupa right there. As I start to find any beetles that are hatching, it looks like a pupa that may not have made it. Yep, that's what it looks like to me. A few more things I wanted to talk about is having a lid. This lid is very poorly fit to this box, so I'm not worrying about cutting air holes, but if it was a good, nice fitting lid, then I would cut some holes in the top or in the sides of the bin. They do need air to breathe. Could cut some holes in the side or drill some holes. They're not able to climb out of this plastic. They can't really grab onto it, so you don't need to worry about it. But the reason you want a lid is to keep stuff out of it, especially if you keep it outdoors somewhere. You don't want any critters getting in there and eating your worms. It's a good idea to have a lid, and it keeps it clean. I'm going to be keeping this probably under my bed. They don't like extreme temperatures. Anything over 90 or below 40, they start to suffer and have a hard time. If you like what you saw here today, and hopefully you learned something, I'd like to hear about it in the comments below. Go ahead and tell me if there's other content you'd like to see, or if you have any questions, I can try to answer. Just wanted to do a quick update on the mealworm bin. I'm gonna get those old apples out before they start molding, and I've got a new fresh apple slice that I'm gonna put in there. Let's take that out. There are some worms on there. Wedge this one down in there. But they look like they're doing well. They're happy in here. There we go. The furnace kicked off. That's where the other apple was. Looks like they definitely like being near the apples. But it's been about 48 hours since we started this bin. And hopefully soon we'll see some pupa and maybe even some beetles. That might be something there. Yeah, that's a pupa right there. Just wanted to do a quick video. I was checking on the mealworm bin, and I noticed there's a handful of mealworms that are starting to pupate, or in their pupa stage. Zoom in on that, see if you can see. Gathered a couple of them right there. That's pretty cool. Hopefully pretty soon we'll have some darkling beetles in there. Hello YouTube gardeners, hello YouTube gardeners, coming with you. Hello